Brian Laundrie possibly spotted on deer cam in Florida, and cops are actively investigating, according to this story. So let's get right into it. So authorities in Florida said Tuesday they are actively investigating deer camera footage that captured a hiker resembling Gabby Petito's missing boyfriend/fiance, Brian Laundrie, trekking through the wilderness. So Sam Bass said he spotted the man toting a backpack at 6:17 a.m. Monday in the town of Bakers, Florida, about 500 miles away from Laundrie's home in Northport. I'm not saying this is the guy, but whoever was on my trail camera this morning in Baker, Florida, strongly fits the description of Brian Laundrie, Bass wrote on Facebook. Authorities have been contacted, but people in the Northwest Florida area be on the lookout. Laundrie, who's a person of interest in Petito's disappearance, was reported missing by his parents on Friday. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, which has jurisdiction over Baker, confirmed that they were looking into the possible sighting. And apparently this is the photo of the thing. Personally, I think this is a completely different individual based off this photo, right? And here's the thing, right? Based off the timeline of this whole situation, if you've been following it at all, if you end up stumbling upon this episode, he's had nearly 2 weeks of basically free reign to pretty much go wherever. And I remember that there's actually like a story, potentially, that he's actually hiding in Puerto Rico based off like their hiking, camping / app data that got recorded somewhere in Puerto Rico. So I think that is a higher possibility than him still staying in the Florida area, right? And again, like this is like all messed up in multiple different levels, right? But I doubt that this individual is actually him, right? I think he's either in a different state or actually went to Puerto Rico and is laying down low in Puerto Rico. But honestly, I could see him doing something like going to Puerto Rico and then going to a different country altogether that has no extradition to the United States. Because then he could end up possibly going someplace and basically hiding for the rest of his life and no one actually knows. Because the thing that's interesting, right, is that technically he's not being charged with anything. He has never been charged with anything, right? So there's not necessarily anything stopping him at the time of, basically when he got back to his parents' home. He could have just left at any point at that time, right? And no one could have stopped him, right? Like they wouldn't be able to stop him, I believe, in the airports or anything like that, because he wasn't actually arrested. He wasn't being charged with anything. Thus, there was nothing, I think, necessarily legally stopping him from actually traveling, right? Because he wasn't actually being investigated in any sense, right? He was just potentially a person of interest, but there was no charges, there was no legal proceedings, nothing. So it's a very interesting situation, but also kind of sad, because more than likely the body is Gabby Petito's, and more than likely he was the individual that potentially killed her if they find that it was done in basically a murderous kind of situation. Now, it is also possible, but very unlikely, but it's also possible that she passed away from natural causes, because there hasn't been the coroner hasn't done their investigation yet, so no one knows about that yet at the time of this recording. So again, it's not even certain that she was murdered yet, and it's not even certain that she was murdered by him, and it's not even certain that she did not die from natural causes yet, right? Again, that's the thing, yet. We don't know, right? There's not enough information yet. But I don't think this individual is actually her fiance, right? And again, it's going to be very interesting to see the outcomes of this situation. Like, what is the coroner going to actually say? Because again, if the coroner ends up deeming it from natural causes, that's going to make this whole thing even way more crazy, right? Because then you got to start thinking, okay, if this guy's on the run, but he's on the run when she died from natural causes, then what's going on, right? It gets very, very interesting, right? So they say, we are aware and are actively checking it out. Sheriff spokeswoman Michelle Nicholson told the Post on Tuesday, adding, at this point, there is no confirmation. Social media sleuths, however, have pointed out that the man's backpack was similar to one pictured in Laundrie's Instagram stories. The only thing is, like, the facial structure just looks off. Right now, this is like very hard to actually see, right? But that facial structure right there just seems off. But then again, everybody looks a little bit different from like the side viewpoint than the frontal viewpoint. So I could be completely wrong. So they say, it looks like the guy from Sam Bass video in Baker, Florida has the same backpack as Brian Laundrie. Could it actually be him? Wrote one Twitter user. But again, yeah, see, like, I just think that the facial structure is off. So Laundrie's parents told authorities he had left home with a backpack to go on a hike in the area and never returned. Now, here's the thing that's also going to be interesting too, right? What's going to happen to the fiance's parents? Because let's say that the coroner deems that it was from natural causes. Will they be charged for disrupting an investigation? Or if they find that it's, by murder, that she was actually killed, will they actually be arrested, right? Like, will they be charged as well? Because he had enough time alone with his parents where basically the parents immediately, potentially, helped lawyer him up. They all kept silent and they never spoke of anything at all, period. End of story, right? Like, they basically covered his tracks 100%, right? So they know something, but what do they know? Now, search crews on Tuesday were hunting for him in the Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County, where he had allegedly abandoned his Ford Mustang. The hunt for Laundrie comes after authorities found a body believed to be Petito's in Bridger-Tenton National Forest in Wyoming on Sunday. And authorities have not revealed her cause of death, and an autopsy is scheduled for Tuesday. So that should be actually today, but when? And like, who knows what the results are actually going to be. But we'll see. Oh, wait, hold on. I guess there's an update. Oh, yeah, so this was like a pretty recent update. So coroner confirms Gabby Petito's body found in Wyoming. Death ruled a homicide. Okay, so this makes it even more interesting. So she has actually been deemed murdered. Okay, so that makes it very interesting. And that makes the whole situation with his parents and also him way more interesting now. Way more crazy, because now he's a potential murder suspect. Not just like a missing persons situation. This is murder, right? Like, she was murdered. So the death of Gabby Petito has been initially declared a homicide as an autopsy positively identified the body found at Wyoming National Park as that of the missing Long Island native, the FBI said Tuesday. Teton County Coroner Dr. Brent Blue confirmed the remains are those of Gabriel Venora Petito, date of birth March 19, 1999. Jesus, she was so young. The FBI field office in Denver announced on Twitter. Coroner Blue's initial determination for the manner of death is homicide, the agency said. The cause of death remains pending final autopsy results. So Petito's body was found in a remote section of a Wyoming national forest, and the 22-year-old, who was originally from Blue Point, mysteriously disappeared late last month in the midst of a cross-country trek with her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie / fiance. Petito last spoke to her family on August 25th and was reported missing on September 11th, 10 days after Laundrie 23 returned to their home in Northport, Florida without her. Laundrie, who was declared a person of interest in Petito's case but not criminally charged, went missing himself last week, sparking a massive manhunt of a sprawling Sarasota County nature preserve. The young couple was caught on police body camera after they were pulled over on reports of a possible domestic assault in Utah on August 12th. The chilling footage showed a hysterical Petito telling police that the pair got into a fight that morning. "I have really bad OCD. I was apologizing to him, saying I'm sorry I'm so mean," Petito told the officer. "We've been fighting all morning. He wouldn't let me in the car before. He told me I needed to calm down." Now, the thing about the whole situation, I believe the cops kind of assumed that potentially she maybe attacked him. But then there was a 911 reporting, apparently, where there was witnesses seeing him raising his hands against her in that report. So it's very interesting. Who knows what's the true situation. But based off what is going on now, there is a very high likelihood, based off the timeline and based off his actions and his family's actions, that he is most likely the person that killed her. I'm not saying that's actually what happened, but potentially that is the highest likelihood of any scenario. Now, the reason why I say that is because apparently also around the same time, there was, I believe, a couple that actually got murdered as well. So potentially there could be someone out there that potentially could have just stumbled upon her when she was alone and killed her. I'm saying that's a potential of actually happening, but the likelihood is that her fiance actually killed her and most likely fled the country, because I don't think that was actually him in that camp photo. The bush hog, well, not bush hog, but the bush camera, auto camera that a lot of hunters have. I don't think that was actually him. I personally think that he probably fled the country because that would be the smartest thing for him to do, because he wasn't charged with anything at that time. So there was probably nothing actually stopping him from actually leaving the country, right? So meaning it would have been very easy for him to just flee. So I think that's the highest possibility, but I don't know. So if you stumble upon this, feel free to give your thoughts. Feel free to share this with someone else. I find this very interesting and also very sad, because someone very young died, was murdered, probably for no reason. And that's just sad. You don't want to see someone who's young, whose life just ended like that. That's just sad to see. But we'll see you in future episodes.